Hello, Storytime Dreamers. Welcome back to our channel, where we weave tales to inspire and uplift. Today, we're diving into a heartfelt story about a restless town finding peace through the power of sleep, inspired by How to Sleep Fast by Nattawuit Yimniam. So, grab a cozy blanket, settle in, and let's explore a journey from sleepless nights to dreaming big. In the small town of Willow Creek, Indiana, nestled between cornfields and a sluggish river, sleep had become a rare commodity. The year was 2025, and the town's 3,000 residents were caught in a peculiar epidemic of insomnia. It wasn't just the hum of smartphones or the glow of screens keeping them awake, though those didn't help. It was something deeper, a collective restlessness that seeped into the town's bones like damp rot. Factories had closed, the local diner was half empty most days, and the community's pulse seemed to falter. People lay in bed, staring at ceilings, their minds racing with worries about bills, kids, and a future that felt like it was slipping away. Emma Larson, a 34-year-old librarian, was no exception. Her nights were a blur of tossing and turning, her thoughts a tangle of overdue library books, her mother's declining health, and a lingering fear that she'd never leave Willow Creek. She'd tried everything: chamomile tea, white noise machines, even those overpriced lavender pillows advertised on late-night TV. Nothing worked. Her eyes, ringed with dark circles, told the story of a woman who hadn't slept properly in months. One gray February morning, Emma was sorting returns at the Willow Creek Public Library when a slim, unassuming book caught her eye. Tucked between a dog-eared romance novel and a thick biography of Abraham Lincoln, it was titled How to Sleep Fast by Nattawuit Yimniam. The cover was plain, with a minimalist design of a crescent moon against a navy background. It was only 6 pages long, barely a pamphlet, but its subtitle, perfect for people who struggle with sleep, felt like a personal invitation. Emma flipped it open, curious. The book promised simple, practical methods to fall asleep quickly, urging readers to choose one and make it a habit. She checked it out, though she doubted it would help. She'd read countless sleep guides, and they all felt like empty promises. That evening, in her small apartment above the hardware store, Emma sat cross-legged on her couch, the book in her lap. The first method was called the anchor breath. It instructed her to focus on her breathing, imagining each inhale as an anchor sinking into the ocean, grounding her racing mind. She tried it, closing her eyes and picturing a rusty anchor plunging into dark water. For a moment, her thoughts stilled. But then her phone buzzed, a text from her boss about budget cuts, and the anchor floated away. She sighed, tossing the book onto the coffee table. 6 pages, she muttered. What was I expecting? The next day, Emma noticed something odd at the library. The book, which she'd returned to the circulation desk, was gone. Not checked out, just missing. She asked her colleague, Mrs. Delaney, a spry 70-year-old who'd worked there for decades. "Oh, that little sleep book?" Mrs. Delaney said, adjusting her glasses. "I saw Tom Harper take it. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week." Tom Harper was the town's mechanic, a gruff man in his 50s who ran Harper's auto shop. Emma knew him vaguely. He'd fixed her old Honda once, muttering about city folk and their fancy hybrids. Curious, she walked to his shop during her lunch break, the winter air biting her cheeks. The garage smelled of oil and rubber, and Tom was hunched over a pickup truck, his hands black with grease. "Hey, Tom," Emma called. "Did you borrow that sleep book from the library?" He straightened, wiping his hands on a rag. "Yeah." "So what?" "I didn't steal it. I'll bring it back." "No, it's not that," Emma said quickly. Did it work for you?" Tom grunted, his eyes bloodshot. "Tried that anchor thing last night. Felt stupid, but I slept maybe 4 hours straight. First time in weeks." He paused, then added, "You look like you need it more than me." Emma laughed, though it stung. "Yeah, well, Insomnia is the town mascot these days." Back at the library, Emma couldn't shake the thought of a book. If it helped Tom, maybe it wasn't just another gimmick. She ordered a copy online, surprised to find it was a Kindle exclusive, published just a week ago on February 1st, 2025. When it arrived on her e-reader, she read it cover to cover in 10 minutes. The methods were simple: the anchor breath, a visualization of a safe place, a body scan technique, and a curious one called the Story Weaver, which involved crafting a mental narrative to lull the mind. Emma decided to try them all, one each night. Over the next week, she noticed a shift. The anchor breath kept her calm, but it was the Story Weaver that hooked her. The book suggested imagining a story where you were the protagonist, safe and at peace, letting the narrative unfold without forcing it. Emma pictured herself in a forest cabin, the kind she'd seen in magazines, with a crackling fire and a starry sky. Each night, the story grew. Sometimes she was chopping wood, sometimes reading by the fire. By the fourth night, she was asleep before the story ended, waking with a faint memory of pine-scented dreams. Word of the book spread. Mrs. Delaney, who'd overheard Emma and Tom, borrowed it next and swore by the body scan, claiming she slept like a baby for the first time since her husband passed. Then Jenny Carter, the high school English teacher, checked it out and raved about the safe place visualization, picturing a beach from her childhood vacations. By March, the library's single copy was in constant demand, with a waitlist longer than for the latest Stephen King novel. Emma ordered more copies, but they couldn't keep up. People started sharing their own sleep stories at the diner, the grocery store, even the post office. The book, it seemed, was waking Willow Creek from its sleepless stupor. But not everyone was convinced. At a town council meeting, Pastor Reynolds, a stern man who led the First Baptist Church, raised concerns. "This how to sleep fast sounds like New Age nonsense," he said, his voice booming. "Visualizations, stories, it's practically witchcraft. We should trust in prayer, not some foreign author's tricks." A few nodded, but most just looked tired. Emma, sitting in the back, bit her tongue. She wasn't religious, but she knew arguing with Pastor Reynolds was like arguing with a brick wall. The debate didn't stop the book's spread. At the diner, Emma overheard a group of truckers discussing it. "I tried that Story Weaver thing," said Mike, a burly man with a beard like a bird's nest. "Imagined I was fishing on Lake Michigan. Fell asleep in 10 minutes. His friend laughed, saying he pictured himself as a cowboy, which sparked a heated debate about whether cowboys or fishermen slept better. Emma smiled, jotting down their stories in a notebook she'd started keeping. The book wasn't just helping people sleep, it was sparking imagination, conversation, even laughter, things Willow Creek hadn't seen much of lately. Emma decided to take it further. She proposed a sleep stories club at the library, a weekly gathering where people could share their visualizations and tips from the book. The first meeting drew a crowd: Tom, Jenny, Mrs. Delaney, and a dozen others, including shy teenager Mia, who worked at the diner and always looked exhausted. They sat in a circle, the library's fluorescent lights dimmed, and took turns sharing their stories. Tom described a garage where every car he fixed purred perfectly. Jenny imagined a classroom where every student loved Shakespeare. Mia, hesitantly, shared a vision of a garden where flowers bloomed in colors she'd never seen. Emma felt a warmth she hadn't in years. For the first time, Willow Creek felt awake, not in the restless, bleary-eyed way, but alive with possibility. The club grew, and so did the stories. People started weaving their visualizations into their daily lives. Mrs. Delaney began knitting blankets inspired by her body scan, each stitch a moment of calm. Mia sketched her dream garden, her drawings taped to the library walls. Even Pastor Reynolds, after a heated sermon, admitted to trying the anchor breath, though he called it prayerful breathing. The book's methods, simple as they were, became a shared language, a way to connect in a town fractured by economic decline and despair. But Emma's own sleep remained elusive. The story weaver worked most nights, but her worries, her mother's hospital bills, the library's shrinking budget, kept creeping in. One night, unable to sleep, she wandered to the riverbank, the book in her pocket. The water was dark, reflecting the stars. She tried the safe place visualization, imagining a raft floating downstream, but her mind kept drifting to her mother, alone in a hospital bed. Tears stung her eyes. The book had helped so many, but it couldn't fix everything. The next morning, Emma found an email from Nattawuit Yimniam himself. She'd written to him weeks ago, thanking him for the book and sharing how it was changing Willow Creek. His reply was brief but kind. "Dear Emma, I'm honored my small book has helped your town. Sleep is the beginning of peace. Keep weaving your stories." Attached was a PDF of a new chapter, unpublished, called The Shared Dream. It suggested that communities could heal by sharing their visualizations, creating a collective story that bound them together. Emma read it and felt a spark. At the next Sleep Stories Club, she proposed a town-wide project, a mural based on everyone's dream stories. The idea caught fire. Mia led the art, sketching a vast canvas of cabins, gardens, fishing lakes, and classrooms. Tom donated paint from his shop. Jenny organized students to help. Even Pastor Reynolds contributed, suggesting a starlit sky to symbolize hope. The mural went up on the library's exterior wall, transforming the drab building into a tapestry of dreams. As spring bloomed, Willow Creek changed. The mural drew visitors, who spent money at the diner and the hardware store. The library got a grant to stay open longer. Emma's mother, inspired by the town's energy, started recovering. And Emma, for the first time in months, slept through the night, her story weaver now a tale of a town that found its way back to rest. By summer, the insomnia epidemic had faded. The mural stood as a testament to the town's resilience, each stroke a reminder of the stories that had pulled them through. Emma kept the book on her nightstand, its pages worn from use. It wasn't magic, but it was close, a simple guide that had taught a sleepless town to dream again. And that's how Willow Creek found its rest, proving that even in our darkest nights, a simple story can light the way to peace. Thank you, Storytime Dreamers, for joining us on this sleepy adventure. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own sleep stories in the comments below. Until next time, keep dreaming big with Storytime. Good night.